The afternoon sun spilled through the cafe windows like a spotlight on the moment everything in Seraphine Lorne's life seemed to collapse. She sat stiffly at the small wooden table, her hands folded neatly, her heart trembling with a hope she had carried for far too many lonely years. She had dressed in soft pastels, chosen earrings she couldn't hear jingle, and brought with her the quiet optimism that maybe, finally, someone would look at her and see more than her silence. But across from her, the man from the blind date app, Corbin, stared at her with a discomfort he didn't bother to hide. She watched his mouth move, his lips forming irritated shapes. She tried to read them, but the meaning hit harder than any raised voice ever could. "I didn't know you were broken." The words shattered through her like glass, though she heard nothing. She only saw the way he pushed back his chair, muttered something sharp, grabbed his coat, and walked away without even looking back. In an instant, the hope she had so carefully protected crumbled, leaving her sitting alone in the hum of a world she could never fully hear but always fully felt. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected connections, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Soul of Light. Your support brings life to stories like this. Seraphine sat there, staring down at her untouched cup of tea, feeling the weight of 1,000 unspoken apologies she wished someone had offered her in her life. The room around her vibrated faintly with muffled footsteps and distant clinking cups, sensations more than sounds. She wanted to disappear, to evaporate from the world so no one could see the way her chest tightened with shame. But as she blinked away the warm blur in her eyes, she felt another sensation, someone watching her, but not with the pity she had come to expect. At the table beside hers sat a man with dark, kind eyes and a little girl who looked around 7, with curly hair tied in playful puffs and a sketchbook open in front of her. The man's name, she would later learn, was Dorian Keene, but in that moment she only knew him as the stranger whose gaze held genuine concern instead of judgment. She caught him signing softly toward her, his movements gentle and hesitant, as though he didn't want to intrude. She stared, stunned, recognizing the fluid motions instantly. "Are you okay?" Her breath stilled. Very few people in her world ever tried to speak to her in the way she communicated best. Even fewer did it with tenderness. She hesitated, then signed back with trembling fingers, admitting she wasn't okay, trying to minimize it, trying not to be a burden. Dorian's expression shifted into something protective, something warm yet steady. He signed again, slower this time so she could read every motion without strain. "You deserve better," and that simple phrase unlocked something inside her, something she had caged for years. The little girl, Mira, peeked over the table and flashed a shy smile at Seraphine. She lifted her sketchbook to show a drawing of a tall sunflower with bright, uneven petals. Seraphine didn't need sound to feel her heart thawing. When Mira added a tiny figure standing next to the flower, hair floating in soft lines resembling Seraphine's, it felt like a gentle hand stitching pieces of her soul back together. As the afternoon light shifted into a golden glow, Dorian scribbled on a napkin to explain that he had learned basic sign language after Mira was born with a condition that affected her speech for years. Though she could speak now, Dorian kept signing so she would never feel alone in her early struggles. Seraphine felt something powerful awaken inside her, an understanding that kindness could ripple in beautiful directions, even between strangers. They spent the next hour in a quiet, shared space of comfort. Seraphine signed part of her story, losing her hearing at 9, her mother working 2 jobs and never learning sign language out of exhaustion, years of teachers who didn't know how to help, and the loneliness of always feeling slightly misplaced in every room she entered. Dorian signed back that he knew what it felt like to try to build a world for someone you loved and still fear it wasn't enough. He told her through steady hands and steady eyes, that she wasn't wrong, nor difficult, nor a problem to tolerate. And for the first time in a long while, Seraphine believed it. As the day carried them gently forward, Mira tugged Dorian's sleeve and pointed at Seraphine with innocent excitement. She signed her own message, slow but proud, "Can she come draw with us again?" Seraphine swallowed a surge of emotion she hadn't prepared for. Dorian looked at her, his expression open but careful, giving her the freedom to choose. She nodded, feeling a small spark ignite inside her chest. Weeks passed, and what began as a moment of unexpected kindness blossomed into something quietly extraordinary. Seraphine found herself joining Dorian and Mira at parks, cafes, and sunny sidewalks, where Mira's laughter vibrated through the air like bright colors she could almost hear. She watched Dorian bow his head to help Mira tie her shoes, tuck a curl behind her ear, or show her how to fold paper cranes. Somewhere between shared drawings, conversations in signs, and warm silence, Seraphine realized she no longer felt like she was standing outside the world looking in. She was becoming part of a small, gentle universe that welcomed her without hesitation. But just when things began to feel hopeful, fear whispered in her mind. She worried she was intruding, that Dorian and Mira had their own lives, and that she was only a temporary kindness extended out of sympathy. That old voice, the one shaped by rejection, told her she didn't belong anywhere for long. One evening in the park, she pulled her hands close, unsure how to express the storm inside her. Dorian noticed instantly. He stepped closer, signing slowly, making sure she saw every word. "You don't have to disappear, not from us." And then another phrase, one that made tears slide silently down her cheeks. "You are wanted here." Hearing, or feeling, those words was like watching the sun rise inside her after years of gray skies. Mira wrapped small arms around Seraphine's waist, offering a wordless promise that she wasn't going anywhere. In that embrace, Seraphine finally let herself believe in something new. That connection didn't require perfect lives, perfect families, or perfect stories. It only required hearts willing to reach out. As the daylight shimmered over the park and a breeze carried soft warmth across her skin, Seraphine realized that sometimes the most beautiful beginnings come disguised as heartbreak. And sometimes the people who find you in your most fragile moments are the ones who teach you how to bloom again. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soul of Light. Your support helps us keep sharing stories that bring hope to the world. Special request: comment, "I believe in kindness." If this story made you feel something today,